So this is a video about how I was basically a porn star and came out of that life and started to be drawn more into Christ. So my journey with porn was, for a long time, I used to call myself Godzilla on Instagram, and I used to show off my body, right? Just doing it for attention at first. And then even when I started getting tired of attention, I was doing it because at this point, that was who I had formed my identity in. And, it was something that I was comfortable doing. I did post nudes sometimes, not so much on my Instagram, but sometimes on Snapchat. I would have like nude videos and stuff like that. Always trying to be sexy. I never did it for money or anything like that again, but a lot of it in the beginning was for attention. It was for a validation of being insecure in myself and wanting that validation, like that someone found me attractive, and that because people found me attractive, I was then had worth. I was trying to find my worth in this, in people finding me attractive, and people specifically finding my butt attractive, and using that to sometimes manipulate men into doing things for me, manipulating situations to work out for me, just being an overall bad person. Again, I wasn't the porn star in the way that I was out there selling myself for money or like joining a porn company. And that doesn't make it any better, honestly. It doesn't make any difference. If you're out there pushing your body sexually, then you're basically a porn star. That's what you're doing. Like, it doesn't matter if you get paid for it, it's porn. I realized when I became born again that it was porn when a lot of people started to admit to me, and even before then I knew guys were downloading my videos, and a lot were masturbating to them and stuff like that. And before I was born again Christian, it did not bother me at all. Like, it was basically something that I didn't really care about. Like, I didn't enjoy the idea of someone doing that, but it didn't bother me as well. It was just something that I felt like happened. So the thing about porn is, it became bondage for me. It was something that I started doing at a young age, and back then it didn't look like bondage. Back then it was something that I was curious about. It was something that I thought everyone was doing. I started like everyone else. I started watching these videos, and on these videos, back in the day, you couldn't really see the whole image if you didn't pay for that channel. So you could only see little fragments of what was going on. So I had to always watch porn, and it was always wanting to see more because the screen was blurry and you couldn't make out what was happening. You could hear the moanings, you could hear, what was going on. You can see little things every once in a while, but it was never, again, these were bootleg channels, so it was never like, oh, I just knew what was going on. And that raised my interest to, at that point, want to start learning more, want to start doing that. Porn worked in a way in my life where it perverted what sex was. Sex almost immediately, culture does this as well, but porn has made us believe that sex is this casual thing that you have with as many people as you want, and you're always trying to fill this desire, and it's never long lasting, right? The consequences of porn are long lasting. HIV, diseases, those things can be long lasting. Even the trauma of porn and having sex can be long lasting, but in that moment, it's just like a brief satisfaction that you have, and a brief, like, I just want to get this done, and I just want to do this. And a lot of times it becomes like, I want to release stress, right? And then all of a sudden I cannot go to sleep without watching porn and masturbating. And I can't start my day without watching porn or masturbating. And then all of a sudden I personally was in that moment where I should be doing other things, but I found myself watching porn and masturbating. Like, I could be being productive, but I found myself watching porn and masturbating. We live in a world now where it's becoming a lot worse than when we were kids. Now it's like, especially in the gay community, it's like, is that boy you're dating, does he have an OnlyFans page? And if anyone doesn't know what OnlyFans is, it's basically a way that a normal person can become a porn star and start doing things sexually for money. And everyone is doing it. It's like the world is slowly becoming a lot more sexual in this way. It's becoming normal for people to start showing themselves on Twitter, you know, showing their private parts, filming sexual acts and putting it out there for the world to see. No longer do you have to have this big porn company behind you. You don't have to sign this contract. All you need is an iPhone and someone willing, and sometimes, you know, you don't even need someone else. It's a lot of solo stuff going on around here. And I know because I partook in a lot of that stuff for a very long time. Clearly, you know, as someone who was in that world, I'm not speaking from a place of ignorance. I know this stuff is going on. And when you're in the world, when you're not a born-again Christian, you do not see an issue in it. It's like you're just pleasing the flesh. Whatever the flesh wants, you provide, right? The flesh wants sex in this moment, I need to provide it with sex. It wants pleasure in this moment, I'm a slave to whatever my flesh wants me to do, right? I'm a slave to that. Some people have sex with people they're not even attracted to just because their body needs it in that moment. It's a form of bondage. It's a form of spiritual bondage, and in the physical world, we don't see that. Once you're born again and you're open to spiritual attacks, you start noticing like, hey, I want to stop this act. I don't think this is in alignment with God. And you realize it's bondage when all of a sudden you cannot stop something. Like you literally, no matter how much you want to do it, you just can't, right? It's a form of addiction. It's a form of bondage where you're going back to this thing. It's like a dog returning to its vomit, where you're just continuously wanting to see this thing, right? And it's something that I still struggle with. I'm not perfect. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just kind of going through my journey as a born-again Christian and what I'm going through, where you just sit around and it could be random desires to watch this thing. And, you know, you stop, you disconnect yourself, and all of a sudden you're getting dreams, right? The enemy likes to, and if anyone is a born-again Christian, I'm sure you've experienced this, where it's just like you disconnect from those things, but then you're getting these dreams. And it's like vivid dreams that you never had before you tried to stop having sex or before you tried to stop watching porn. You're all of a sudden having vivid dreams as if it was real life. The enemy sends this to you, right, in order to tempt you. And I realized, like, I started to be aware of these things before I went to sleep, and he started to change up his tactics. Satan did. He started to change up his tactics, and he was now speeding up the dreams, right? He was misleading me to think a dream was about something else, and then all of a sudden sex would happen. And I would try to wake up, but it was immediate sex, and it was like lush sex, trying to show me as much of this perversion as he possibly can to get me hooked back on this thing. And again, it's a spiritual warfare. It's something that I'm dealing with every day. God willing, I know that I, will overcome this thing. But I know that I'm also better than I was before, right? I no longer need to go have sex with just random people. I refuse it now. I no longer, need to look at porn. I have the ability, and being born again, he gives you that choice, that ability to now say, I want to put that thing down and I want to move in another direction with my life. I no longer need to post my butt to find validation in who I am and to feel like I belong and I'm someone who people would be interested in. I no longer have to parade myself around in that way. And again, porn is a gateway, right? I like to think of it as basically you're a kite just floating off into space, and no one's kind of pulling you back. And once you're out there, you're out there. It opens the door to so many things. Bestiality, it opens the door to masochism, BDSM, it opens the door to perversion. People like now getting peed on. It's opens the door to a bunch of things. It opens the door sometimes to a change in sexual orientation, where all of a sudden a woman in her 30s or 40s is attracted to another woman when she never was. But watching this porn, it's like, oh, I found myself now interested in this. And once you open the door to perversion, it can lead you anywhere. You're basically at the whims of Satan at that point. And again, it's not about being gay or straight, it's about being saved, right? It's about having the Holy Spirit in you and realizing I'm no longer in bondage to those things. I have the choice now to walk out. I have the choice now to remove myself. I have the choice now to make a choice, where before I did not have a choice, right? I was in bondage, and that's what true captivity is. It's when you cannot stop doing something that you want to do with all your heart, or you cannot stop doing an act. You can't go to sleep without doing an act. It's bondage, right? And God sets us free from these things. And the sanctification process, once you accept God into your heart, is just that. It's God was starting to work on me. And sometimes I was like, God, why don't you just address the porn directly? Like, I want to be done with this. And he's like teaching me how to talk to people or something. And you know, you can't tell God what to focus on. You can't tell God how to work, again, because he's God. And I know that, again, I'm not perfect. I still have the urge to watch these things, but I still have the urge now to resist watching these things. And this was a desire that I never had before, right? It's not normal to not want to watch porn. It's not a normal thing of a person in the world to not want to have sex. Like, these are things that are part of the world, right? Once you start resisting it, you realize this is the Spirit talking, right? No one taught me these things but God. Right? No one taught me. A lot of people call me brainwashed, as if like I didn't even talk to anyone in the church until after I was saved. Like, I had no conversations with any pastors, with any religious people, with any, like, it was God. God alone is delivering me from these things. Right? Of course, now as Christians, we go to church because we understand, like, this is an interpretation. These people are intercessors, you know, for God and stuff like that. And they are touched by him and they understand the word and they're guiding you. But before this, I was not brainwashed because I never put myself in the position to be brainwashed. Right? It was me learning from God, and this is the sanctification process now. This is me becoming who God wants me to be. And so I just wanted to share that, how I left porn, how I left posting pornographic material, and how I just started walking away and becoming my own